ominous unknown killer is still at large. After weeks of unexplained murders, the ominous unknown killer is still on the rise. After little evidence has been found, a young boy states that he survived one of the killer's attacks and bravely tells his story. "I had a bad dream and I woke up in the middle of the night," says the boy. I saw that for some reason the window was open, even though I remember it being closed before I went to bed. I got up and shut it once more. Afterwards, I simply crawled under my covers and tried to get back to sleep. That's when I had a strange feeling, like someone was watching me. I looked up and nearly jumped out of my bed. There, in a little ray of light, illuminating between my curtains, were a pair of two eyes. These weren't regular eyes. They were dark, ominous eyes. They were boarded in black, and just plain out terrified me. That's when I saw the mouth. A long, horrendous smile that made every hair on my body stand up. The figure stood there, watching me. Finally, after what seemed like forever, he said it. A simple phrase, but said in a way only a madman could speak. He said, "Go to sleep." I let out a scream. That's what sent him after me. He pulled up a knife, aiming at my heart. He jumped on top of the bed. I fought him back. I kicked, I punched, I rolled around, trying to knock him off of me. That's when my dad busted in. The man threw the knife. If it went into my dad's shoulder, the man probably would have finished him off if one of the neighbors hadn't have alerted the police. They drove into the parking lot and ran towards the door. The man turned around and ran down the hallway. I heard a smash, like glass breaking, as I came out of my room. I saw the window that was pointing towards the back of my house was broken. I looked out it to see him vanish into the distance. I can tell you one thing: I will never ever forget his face. Those cold, evil eyes and that psychotic smile, they will never leave my head. Police are still on the look for this man. If you see anyone that fits the description in this story, please contact your local police department. Jeff and his family had just moved into a neighborhood. His dad had gotten a promotion at work, and they thought it would be best to live in one of those fancy neighborhoods. Jeff and his brothers, Louie, couldn't complain though. A nice, better house. What was not to love? As they were getting unpacked, one of the neighbors came by. "Hello," she said. "I'm Barbara. I live across the street from you." "Well, I just wanted to introduce myself and introduce my son." She turns around and calls her son over. "Billy, these are our new neighbors." Billy said hi and ran back to play in his yard. "Oh," said Jeff's mom, "I'm Margaret, and this is my son, and this is my husband Peter, and my two sons, Jeff and Louie." They each introduced themselves, and then Barbara invited them to her son's birthday. Jeff and his brother were about to object, and their mother said that they would love to. When Jeff and his family are done packing, Jeff went up to his mom. "Mom, why would you invite us to some kid's party? If you haven't noticed, I'm not some dumb kid." "Jeff," said his mother, "we just moved here. We should show that we want to spend time with our neighbors. Now, we're going to that party, and that's final." Jeff started to talk but stopped himself, knowing that he couldn't do anything. Whenever his mother said something, it was final. He walked up to his room and plopped down on his bed. He sat there looking at his ceiling when suddenly he got a weird feeling. Not so much a pain, but a weird feeling. He dismissed it as just some random feeling. He heard his mother call him down to get his stuff, and he walked down to get it. The next day, Jeff walked downstairs to get breakfast and got ready for school. As he sat there eating his breakfast, he once again got that feeling. This time it was stronger. It gave him a slight tugging pain, but he once again dismissed it. As he and Louis finished breakfast, they walked down to the bus stop. He sat there waiting for the bus, and then all of a sudden, some kid on a skateboard jumped over them, only inches above their laps. They both landed back in surprise. They both jumped back in surprise. "Hey, what the hell?" The kid landed and turned back to them. He kicked his skateboard up and caught it with his hands. The kid seems to be about 12, 1 year younger than Jeff. He wears a Aeropostale shirt and ripped blue jeans. Well, well, well. It looks like we got some new meat." Suddenly 2 other kids appeared. One was super skinny and the other was huge. "Well, since you're new here, I'd like to introduce ourselves. Over there is Keith." Jeff and Louis looked over to the skinny kid. He had a dopey face that you would expect a sidekick to have. And he's Troy. They looked over at the fat kid. Talk about a tub of lard. This kid looked like he hadn't exercised since he was crawling. "And I," said the first kid, "am Randy. Now, for all the kids in this neighborhood, there is a small price for the bus fare, if you catch my drift." Louis stood up, ready to punch the lights out of the kid's eyes when one of his friends pulled a knife on him. Tsk, tsk, tsk. "I'd hoped you would be more cooperative, but it seems we must do this the hard way." The kids walked up to Louis and took his wallet out of his pocket. Jeff got that feeling again. Now it was truly strong, a burning sensation. He stood up, but Louis gestured him to sit down. Jeff ignored him and walked up to the kid. "Listen here, you little punk. Give back my bro's wallet or else." Randy put the wallet in his pocket and pulled out his own knife. "Oh? And what will you do?" Just as he finished the sentence, Jeff popped the kid in the nose. As Randy reached for his face, Jeff grabbed the kid's wrist and broke it. Randy screamed and Jeff grabbed the knife from his hand. Troy and Keith rushed Jeff, but Jeff was too quick. He threw Randy to the ground. Keith lashed out at him, but Jeff ducked and stabbed him in the arm. Keith dropped his knife and fell to the ground, screaming. Troy rushed him too, but Jeff didn't even need the knife. He just punched Troy straight in the stomach and Troy went down. As he fell, he puked all over. Louis could do nothing but look in amazement at Jeff. "Jeff, how'd you..." That was all he said. He saw the bus coming and they knew they'd be blamed for the whole thing. So they started running as fast as they could. As they ran, they looked back and saw the bus driver rushing over to Randy and the others. As Jeff and Louis made it to school, they didn't dare tell what happened. All they did was sit and listen. Louis just thought of that as his brother beating up a few kids, but Jeff knew it was more. It was something scary. As he got that feeling, he felt how powerful it was. The urge to just hurt someone. He didn't like how it sounded, but he couldn't help feeling happy. He felt that strange feeling go away and stay away for the entirety of school. Even as he walked home due to the whole thing near the bus stop, and now he probably wouldn't be how he wouldn't be taking the bus anymore. He felt happy. When he got home, his parents asked him how his day was, and he said, in a somewhat ominous voice. It was a wonderful day. Next morning, he heard a knock at his front door. He walked down to find 2 police officers at the door, his mother looking back at him with an angry look. "Jeff, these officers tell me you attacked 3 kids, that it wasn't regular fighting, and that they were stabbed." "Stabbed, son?" Jeff's gaze fell to the floor, showing his mother that it was true. "Mom, they were the ones who pulled knives on me and Louie." "Son," said one of the cops, "we found the 3 kids, 2 stabbed, 1 bruised in the stomach, and we have a witness proving that you fled the scene. Now, what does that tell us?" Jeff knew it was no use. He could say him and Louie had been attacked, but then there would be no proof it was not them who attacked first. They couldn't say that they weren't fleeing, because, truth be told, they were. So Jeff couldn't defend himself or Louie. "Son, call down your brother." Jeff couldn't do it, since it was him who beat up all the kids. "Sir, it was me. I was the one who beat up the kids. Louie tried to hold me back, but he couldn't stop me." The cop looked at his partner, and they both nod. "Well, kid, looks like a year in juvie." "Wait," says Louie. They all look up to see him holding a knife. The officers pulled their guns and locked them on Louie. "It was me. I beat up those little punks. I have the marks to prove it." He lifted up the sleeves to reveal cuts and bruises as if he was in a struggle. "Son, just put down the knife," said the officer. Louie held up the knife and dropped it to the ground. He put his hands up and walked over to the cops. "No, Louie, it was me. I did it." Jeff had tears coming down his face. "Huh? Poor bro. Trying to take the blame for what I did. Well, take me away." The police led Louie out to the patrol car. "Louie, tell them it was me. Tell them I was the one who beat up those kids." Jeff's mother put her hands on his shoulders. "Jeff, please, you don't have to lie. We know it's Louie. You can stop." Jeff watching helplessly as the cop car speeds off with Louie inside. A few minutes later, Jeff's dad pulled into the driveway. Seeing Jeff's face, knowing something was wrong. Son, what was it?" Jeff couldn't answer. His vocal words were strained from crying. Instead, Jeff's mother walked his father inside to break the bad news to him, as Jeff wept in the driveway. After an hour or so, Jeff walked back into his house, saying that his parents were both shocked, sad, and disappointed. He couldn't look at them. He couldn't see how they thought of Louie when it was his fault. He just wanted to sleep, trying to get the whole thing off his mind. 2 days went by, and with no word from Louie at the JDC. No friends to hang out with. Nothing but sadness and guilt. That is until Saturday, when Jeff is woke up by his mother with a happy, sunshiny face. "Jeff, it's today," she said as she opened up the curtains and let light flood into his room. What's today?" asked Jeff as he stirs awake. "Why, it's Billy's party." He was now fully awake. "Mom, you're joking, right? You don't expect me to go to some kid's party after..." There was a long pause. "Jeff, we both know what happened. I think the party could be the thing that brightens up the past days. Now get dressed." Jeff's mother walked out of the room and downstairs to get ready herself. He fought himself to get up. He picked up some random shirt and a pair of jeans and walked downstairs. He saw his mother and father all dressed up. His mother in a dress and his father in a suit. He thought why they would ever wear such fancy clothes to a kid's party. "Son, is that all you're going to wear?" said Jeff's mom. "Better than wearing too much," he said. His mother pushed down the feeling to yell at him and hide it with a smile. "Now, Jeff, you may be overdressed, but this is how you go if you want to make an impression," said his father. Jeff grunted and went back up to his room. I don't have any fancy clothes, he yelled downstairs. Just pick something, called his mother. He looked around his closet for what he would call fancy. He found a pair of black dress pants he had special occasions and an undershirt. He couldn't find a shirt to go with it, though. He looked around and found only striped and patterned shirts, none of them which to go with the dress pants. Finally, he found a white hoodie and put it on. "You're wearing that?" they both said. His mother looked at her watch. "Oh, no time to change. Let's go," she said as she herded Jeff and his father out the door. They crossed the street over to Barbara and Billy's house. They knocked on the door, and it appeared that Barbara, just like his parents, way overdressed. As they walked inside, old Jeff could see were adults, no kids. "The kids are out in the yard, Jeff. How about you go meet some of them?" said Barbara. Jeff walked outside to a yard full of kids. They were running around in weird cowboy costumes and shooting each other with plastic guns. You might as well be standing in a Toys R Us. Suddenly a kid came up to him and handed him a toy gun and hat. "Hey, wanna play?" he said. "No, kid, I'm too old for this stuff." The kid looked at him with that weird puppy dog face. "Please?" said the kid. "Fine," said Jeff. He put on the hat and started to pretend to shoot at the kids. At first he thought it was totally ridiculous, but then he started to actually have fun. I mean, it might not have been super cool, but it was the first time he had done something that took his mind off of Louie. So he played with the kids for a while, until he heard a noise, a weird rolling noise. Then it hit him. Randy, Troy, and Keith all jumped over the fence on their skateboards.